Good afternoon, RPG Limit Break. Final Fantasy Randomizer Winter Tournament 2025. The Great Chaos Caper continues with some round of eight Game 2 action. I am Classic Gamer 76, and joining me in the group booth is Fellison. How's it going, Fellison?
I'm doing pretty well. After those couple of games I played earlier today, I'm still in the mood for some more FFR fun. And, well, even though this isn't the Danny Seed, there are still some black belts.
Yes, indeed, there are. The Force Party was a black belt red mage. Let's go over those blur scenes.
Of course. So, the fight, which we do not see right now and might not see unless someone decides to commit to a fighter instead of that black belt, has plus 10 hit percent, so that will be some slightly earlier thresholds for extra hits. The thief can keep shields. This black belt has heal plus magic, which is a huge deal. That's guaranteed life and either cure 4 or heal 3, which lets you get your party back up after a grind or any other mishap. This red mage has plus 10 luck. Luck bonuses are often slept on, but they massively increase your reliability for running from encounters. White mage has plus 20 hit percent, and this black mage, which both runners have taken, has plus 50 agility.
Yes, we'll have to see what else they recruit, although it looks like Pickles is already eyeballing a thief for his fourth character. We'll have to see what Crab Cakes does. Now, Pickles took game one, so this is very interesting. If game three happens, it is coming right up after this, so that's a little preview.
Actually, you say that's a thief, but I believe THFI is a abbreviation for thief or fighter.
Oh, good. Yep, good point. It's going to be thief or fighter, and I was just reading THF1. So thank you for keeping me honest. So yeah, it's thief or fighter. So we'll have to see what Pickles goes for, but it doesn't look like he's considering a white mage, which I cannot blame him. And Farkas and Chad, I guess, got to root for CC so we can get some more FFR. Well, as a commentator, I have to be neutral, but I'm always down for some more FFR.
Anyway, we've got about 30 more seconds until the gate drops, or at least until 10 minutes after the gates drop, given that runners have a delay going on.
Yep. So we'll see. This looks to be a very interesting race. We have two long-time, very good runners. So I am really ready to go here.
And so am I. And looks like I could see Pickle's cursor for a second, so something must be going on.
Yep,
Any moment now?
Yep.
Oh, there it is, and they are already synced from the start. That's a tiny bit less work for our restream White Ham.
And we have a fighter right at the start. It looks like Pickles picked it up.
Alright, so that's one person going with the fighter carry and one probably not. In fact, I believe it was the same way around for game 1.
Yep. So magic, we have Life 2 and Harm 4 and Ruse in white, and Ice 2 being the notable one in black, and also Dark, which is interesting. We do have improved Dark on this flag set.
Indeed, though if we are going for an accurate status spell from this list, I personally gravitate toward Confused, since that kind of shuts down the boss entirely instead of just the melee attacks.
Right, we have a Silver Helmet plus 5 in Toph. That's not some bad armor there. Of course,
Well,
CC not carrying the fighter doesn't carry and resets out.
And the cabin and the house. That house is a pretty big deal since, well, Crabcake doesn't think so, but having that opportunity to recharge your spell slots, say after doing a Volcano Armory or something like that, can be quite impactful.
All right, both runners kill Garland almost the same time, but Cece gets some bat block at you with the canoe from the king and the canal from the princess. So we just need a ship and we have a lot of exploration.
Ooh, indeed. And even without that, as a reminder, River to Mammon is turned on in this flag set. So if we get the Rod or a Ruby, that could be the place we go right away. It all depends on what exactly we get from Feroka and potentially Crescent Lake.
Indeed, both runners are heading over there now.
Now,
Right.
we don't have access to the music as that comes, but it looks like Crabcakes has already gotten a tiny bit of a lead from some encounter manipulation, though she's checking magic before taking on BK. Probably. Wait, no, she does have probably Ice 2 on both mages.
Tier 4 and Ice 3 seen at level 2. And of course, Ice 2 is going to take down those pirates nicely.
And I was gonna say that Lamp is another pretty interesting spell at level 2, but Cure 4 is a strictly better version of that since that cures all status.
Quite true. We have the TNT from Bicky, so that just begs to go back to dwarves.
Also of interest in black magic is Saber, which might turn out to be relevant for Pickles if he does promote to Knight and doesn't get access to the power bank. That's 4 casts of it, which is probably not enough to use on all fiends, but can make a difference against Chaos.
Yes, for those who are not aware, we have the White Knight and it should be the Black Knight and White Ninja flags on, and we have some divergence. So Pickles is heading over probably down to Crescent Lake. I can't see any reason to go to Ice Cave, and Grimps have, or maybe Grumps on Pickles' side have Squint. That's no fun.
Yes, those enemies you see a couple times on the overworld and then decide to never fight that back again. And lead 3 on an ogre.
Yeah, that's fun.
And that's an enemy that shows up in a couple places that aren't the overworld. Well, a couple, I think it's just Earth.
They do show up in Earth Cave, but I don't think. Yeah, I can't think of anywhere else off the top of my head, but it can make this area around Volcano, for example, where Pickles is going, kind of nasty. You usually forget that there are ogres there. CC says hello to the raiders.
His staff and a silver shield from the dwarves there. That his staff is probably gonna be sold for pretty much all the budget you need for the level 3 and 4 magic.
And Narek has the slab, so that's not something that's immediately useful, but something to remember down the road.
Now Pickles is checking these hairpins, not going for the chest that's guarded by a tower. And now the armory. I didn't quite catch it in time. How many shards? 2 of those. A mage stick, so that's 1 more sweeper for the team.
Indeed, that is very nice. Maybe not as useful in Volcano, but very nice. And I like this Pickles is putting on the black belt who doesn't have any AoE, and you never like to see ghosts.
Oh yeah, I'm pretty sure they one-shot the whole team if they get a melee attack. And the light axe.
So that's actually a little more AoE against the undead, and a pretty decent weapon for that fighter.
Yeah, it's around the slightly lower stats than an ice sword, but not by so much that. Well, it's basically the stronger one between them is the one with the stronger blessing.
Are we both fast and temper at black magic? So that Black Knight is looking really good.
Oh yeah, that's some pretty good insurance in case you go man mode into chaos.
Indeed, and that is known to happen. Level 4 Wyatt, exit and fade.
And mostly a pile of nothing in black level 4. The elite one is pretty interesting in case you run out of your lower level spells and just need to fight one more box.
That is quite true because we do have improved, level 1 spell. So it'll hit like a lightning 3 just against one enemy. All right, Pickles is heading down deeper in the volcanoes. I don't know if he has the levels to take on Carrie yet, but that's just 2 shards, and he should be able to clear out quite a bit of the rest of the volcano.
No, with it would take a bit more power than what he has right now, like in the form of spells or some really high tier fighter gear, especially armor, to be able to reliably take on carry, since the scalings have crept up significantly between all the versions of this tournament select set, and well, even at the start, carry was a bit uncomfortable to take on, and now she's definitely a big threat.
All right, a Thief was available in Crescent, and Crabcates is picking it up.
And getting some chain armor from this armor shop. And excellent armor for the red mate, though actually that copper bracelet was about as strong given the blessings. Meanwhile,
Right?
Pickles is pulling an Agama from a box.
And that is good to know for that potential black belt grind later, should he do that. This is Shard Hunt, so don't always necessarily go with the black belt strats because you often get good fighter and thief equipment.
And that was a shard. But, well, the Agama, well, it's one more thing to do in case of a wipe or potentially just escape.
And a
But
white shirt +4. That's don't have the white mage, but love free invis too.
Absolutely, it's one of those spells that makes such a big difference on endgame bosses.
All right, and CC has pulled the ship out of Crescent, so that is pretty nice. Now looks like she's going to head. She's heading over to Elfland.
Yes, since that is where the ship parks if you get it in Crescent Lake. So probably looking to get out of the inner sea. Doesn't really have a lot to do in terms of incentives. That isn't just going back to either going back to the volcano, but from the outer sea, or going straight to Ordeals. Though I will note that with the Lefane River Dock, technically Lefane is also open at this point, but this would be a very inefficient time to go there.
We'll have to see what she does. Meanwhile, Pickles is picking. Oh, an ice sword +5 down there in Volcano.
That's close to being the best thing a fighter can with before promotion, aside from the Massa, of course.
Meanwhile, Crabcakes is in Belmont. She's going to translate her slab while she's here. And gold bracelets +5.
Yeah, that might be a good way to fill up someone who doesn't have good body armor later on, once you can actually fork over those 20k gold. Ooh, Pickles is checking the usual incentive box behind those 2 trap tiles.
And we'll see if the Wiz Ogres are as bad as their regular ogres, or maybe not if they're taken down too quickly, which is usually the best way.
And CC is actually going for the Lefane play. That's interesting.
Very interesting. And Pickles gets the chimes. We don't know where the chime lock is, so we don't know whether that's required. It's possible could bounce off of it, and CC is going for the no, she's going to Gaia from the looks of it, or looks
But
like
that's
she's
oh,
grind.
looking for a grind. Steak and wings.
And something that oh, it was the wings that had the poison touch. Poison actually can take off a decent amount of HP. You didn't see it so much with the thief because it was low, but it takes off 12.5% in this flag set, as I recall.
I think so. Yeah. As Pickles is being reasonable and turning away from Carrie, it's just a short walk out of the volcano.
Yep, it's only 2 shards, and if he needs to go back in, Volcano is really fast. I like this play. Carrie's just a bit risky at these levels.
And now we are about to see Lefane from CC. Usually it's a place you prefer to go when ideally when you're promoted, so you can actually make use of all these shops, and also when you have the money to afford all that. Maybe she might use the superstore to scout out some higher level magic a little bit, but one of these things we all love or hate about Lefane, the linebackers.
Yep, and she does not check out the shop. Of course, with the Bridge of Fane, it's not as bad as it sometimes is. Or is that not?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the one really important spell that we haven't found yet at this point is Nuke. Is there anything else that comes to mind?
We've got the 3 Invis 2 casts from the white shirt, but that's also nice to find. But we've seen a lot of the good stuff. We've seen the Life 2, Heal 3, Cure 4, Saber, Temper, Fast.
And now we see from Pickles that Warp is in Crescent Lake.
Which that'll be useful for ordeals because remember, touches are vanilla and death touch sorcerers are no fun.
Indeed, though it's not the worst place for a wipe, since the Pyramid is very quick to go back through once you know the route.
And that warp is not going to be red learnable, but they both have black mages, so that's not really as big a deal.
Anyway, the CC has now made the trip back from the northern continents and is headed probably to Dwarf Cave to turn in that, was it the Adamant?
Meanwhile, Pickles is checking out level 3 magic. He's going to be very happy with what he sees.
And the smith has crafted the Oxiel. Hooray!
Hooray indeed.
If CC is feeling spicy and wants to continue that little change she's got going on, she could potentially head straight to the Unrack continent and full clear that.
That is true. Of course, Mermaid Prison is on and they don't have the key yet. And
Oh, right, I forgot about that.
I mean, of course, for all you know, the key is in Waterfall as well. That could be interesting. If the key is somewhere like Waterfall, they might end up putting it off until way later. And Phoenix and chat calling for key in Waterfall. That would be nice and spicy. I like that.
And now I see that she's going for orgies. That's sort of the natural play if you don't just want to go with the fairly common play of the volcano opening.
Yes, indeed. And also pretty easy to get to the Northern Continent from there.
So it will soon be time to make our guesses for the 4-pillar room. Personally, I'll go with pillar 2.
I'm going to go with Pillar 3.
Fair enough. I see that CC has and taken the wrong turn pretty much every time for the binary rooms, but here for the pillars room, it was pillar 1. I know,
So,
it happens sometimes.
yep,
Hard to believe.
those hydras looks on CC's side look so much like our hydras.
Yeah, personally not be able to run with those alternate palettes, especially with all the memory I've developed of the vanilla ones.
Quite true. I mean, not bad to cast Ice 3 on a Hydra, but you can get yourself in trouble doing that. And there was a Bane sword in that chest, so that gives some nice AoE for Kraken and Tia. And it's going to be a pretty decent post-promotion weapon.
Now, Crabcakes finds herself in a bit of a predicament, as all the offensive magic she has learned up to this point is Ice Elemental, so that's something that's just countered by undead enemies. So she opts to put a couple stacks of temper on that black belt, make use of those multiple hits to whittle down the zombie D.
Pickles is fighting some giants, so I'm not sure where he is at the moment, but I'm guessing the area. And you get the bottle out of ordeals.
Oh, that's something that can only be turned in with the floater. So I think that tells us that progression really is on the unwracked continent.
I love it.
And
Gargoyles aren't too fun to see either because they're only weak against lightning and we only have ice.
Yep.
Fortunately, their HP isn't too high, so ice 3s are going to take them down.
Eventually. And I approve of just throwing out a Bane with that black belt who's not contributing much otherwise to this specific fight.
I like that too. 356 of time, you never know. Right, and she gets.
Yep. So that was no immediate progression, just some of that nice Odys experience, which does make a bit of a difference early on.
And no death touch sorcerers, so that's also a good thing.
Yeah, that's a good point. We didn't see any of those. Now, checking the caravan, anything of interest in here? Just some housing.
We still have not seen the shop item, so it's like CC's going to dip in the on rack and see if it's there.
Services? Nope.
I think we've checked everywhere except Gaia.
That's right. So that's two incentive locations that are locked behind the floater today.
CC, meanwhile, heading to Waterfall. I like this play because that's your best chance at something.
Mm-hmm.
Or possibly only. I think the incentive is going to be in a locked chest and seas. As Empire pointing out, Waterfall almost has to be progression at this point.
Yep, from her point of view, there is also Volcano that she hasn't done yet. If I had to guess, she is trying to delay it until she has the floater, since the river system is actually quite time-consuming to navigate.
Which makes a lot of sense, and we don't know if it's going to be required. We don't know what the chime is locking.
And here's the ruby. Back to Melmond we go.
Yes, indeed. Ooh, a katana +1. That's nice to see. especially for CC because she has that thief, and the rune sword +2 is actually nice to see now.
Oh, absolutely. That would be a good way to take care of some of the bosses if we fight them before grinding the black belt. Also, shoutouts to the good old Out of Bounds Bat, everyone's best friend here.
Yes, indeed. I love Out of Bounds Bat. So Pickles is going to pick up his rune sword and ruby, or whatever the Titan snack is going to be for him, not to mention his katana.
Oh, I looked away for a second, and I see that CC has downed someone. Is that the black belt?
I am not sure. Also not sure whether it was a deliberate danning or not. That is the black belt that is down.
Oh, absolutely. I noticed the slots being swapped around, so I think that's just the kind of decision you make when you find the katana.
Yes, makes a lot of sense. You have that great weapon for the thief once he promotes. You have a pretty good weapon for him now because we've got some nice bonuses for that rune sword. So I like this play.
And importantly, you've got two temper casters to make up for that relatively low attack power the thief usually has for especially the tougher Findry fights.
And one thing we talked about earlier with the white ninja, that thief after promotion is going to have access to life 2, cure 4, not heal 3
Ooh.
because that's white locked, but a lot of good stuff there.
In other news, Titans has the best sword.
All right, Phoenix and chat calling Vanilla Rod. That would be interesting.
And it is the herb.
So back to Elfin we go.
So, well, no, that was from Waterfall, not from the Sea Shrine. So this is not quite tied to that squiggly fetch quest chain that started with. What started it actually? Was it? Yeah, the Septonin.
Yeah. Herb stats, crystal, crown, rod, flutter, earth. I mean, I like how you think, Tharkus. We'll have to see what happens.
And yes, Franklin pointing out CC's amazing encounter manip. I like to think that I have a good grasp on this kind of technique, but then I see her consistently dropping a tent one step before an encounter hits, and that's just humbling to see.
Yes, it is. All right, we got the crystal from the herb. So, excuse me, the crown. So, now maybe we'll get the crown and get a vanilla crystal.
It's the rod. Now, Astos. Fun fact about Astos. I believe it's this week that the boss scaling turns high enough that there's a chance that he gets too much HP to be vulnerable to Quadex.
Oh, that's a very interesting point. I don't think any of the runners have picked up Quad X. I can't remember if we've seen it.
I don't remember seeing it.
Right. CC headed quite logically in the direction of Earth. And Sinpower Pickles may have picked it up. Yes, it was actually at level 5, so very inconvenient for menuing, but a very nice spell to have.
And in case we need any more evidence that CC's black belt is staying down, she didn't check the Hall of Giant Towers. She is just not interested anymore. And the
we have a
Vorpal.
oh, I mean, we have the katana for the thief. I mean, you could put the Vorpal on a red wizard, but
Yes, an excellent sword to be holding while you're casting Temper.
yes, you can hold the sword and think, gosh, this would be so nice if I could cast Temper on myself.
Anyway, this is not Danny Seed. The arachnids are just punching and applying some poison.
Yep.
And with
Poison.
that, still, we counter because there is a. Well, I don't know if catching up is the right term, but hot on CC's tail. No, so for the record, right now they are the main difference in route between what they've accomplished is that CC has done Ordis and Pickles has done Volcano, which one of those turned into the battle and the other into what was it? The Chime? Yes, the Chime.
Yes, so we don't know what is Chime Block. We might find out if CC bounces off of something. You see, CC's only looking at Mark Chest now. She doesn't care about the others. So she's in go, go, go.
Right, I don't remember if she's picked up some good ninja armor, but she does know where the gold bracelet is, so if she does end up needing that, she knows where to find it. Dragon armor, that's not ninja armor, sadly.
Oh, Pickles might be
Imagine.
happy to see that, but... And Pickles is checking the Hall of Giants.
Fabian in chat asking if any good rank has been found, and I'm pretty sure at this point that neither of our runners is going with that black belt.
Opal Shield +5. Now and a ribbon. Now that thief has equipped shields, and CC is remembering that.
Oh yeah, with that Opal, that armor problem I was mentioning is pretty much gone. Because without blessings, the Opal is tied for the best ninja armor with the elemental mace and the steel armor.
Yeah, Fabian Hawking chat pointing out CC hates the black belt. And it apparently burned her in game 1, so that probably did nothing to endear it to her. And fun fact, CC got a lucky 3 and 256 on that Ice 3, hitting that wizard a lot more than it is. And there's the key!
Okay, so that opens up Cornelia locked and C. Now I don't know if either of our runners will be too keen on double dipping the unwrecked continent, though actually this chain was started by Waterfall, so it's mandatory double dip either way.
You do get 4 shards and a lot of other potential shards and chests out of C, so I think they'll go back. Meanwhile, that rune sword is going to do decent damage to Lich. Ooh, got some high rolls from that ice too.
Yep, but a good turn order gets the thief back up from Cure 4 before another sweeper. Well, no, it was fast after Ice 2, not straight away another sweeper.
Yeah, and Lich can cast fast all day, and PC takes him down. Lich demands respect. Well, he's not going to get it if he casts fast on himself.
One part we as rando players kind of learn to have kind of forgotten over time is that Lich has a stun touch, and that is one of the reasons it's such a run killer in vanilla speedrun.
And he also leads off with Ice 2, which can actually, as you saw there, do some nasty damage.
Yep, up to 160 on the bad roll. Ooh, Pickles wiped.
Oof.
I didn't catch what that gato was. Was it a tile or a box?
I'm not sure. As I always like to say,
Meanwhile,
it's not over until Chaos is dead.
definitely. Now, Crab Cakes has been ambushed by some undead in a marked box in Cornelia, so that that's a fight that took quite a bit of time. And I noticed that her Black Mage is down and she's not bothering to get him back up yet.
We also
I
got
wonder what
yeah.
she has planned from that.
That is a good question, but did pick up a Sun Sword +2, which is actually a very nice weapon for a fighter and a red mage, because that can be used pre-promotion, which never knew until I started playing the randomizer. And the crystal out of Canaria locked.
Yeah, want some more fetch quests?
Now, we still haven't seen the floater yet. Of course, we have airboat on in this flag set, so once they find the floater, they don't need to go to the Raycon Desert. They just need to go to their ship.
And Dragon Sword, another excellent option for the thief. And, well, you predicted it, that's the floater. Well, I don't know if that was actually your prediction, but whatever.
It wasn't a prediction, but I'm at a loss to think of what else could have been in there. Most other things were floater locked.
Well, the one thing that was left without being floater locked was the sea incentive, I think.
Yes, C would have been the last option there.
Now she heads straight to Gaia, where, as we mentioned earlier, there are 2 incentive items waiting for her, one in the shop. It's the cube. Convenient location.
She also picks up some houses. And pops the bottle. I like the strategy of wait until you're in Gaia, because that way you remember. And an Xcal +2 that, well, if she runs low on money, it could be useful.
Yeah, that's a womp in this party.
Now, Pickles will be very happy to see that.
Now, next step is the checking all the boxes from Cardia.
We haven't seen the tail yet. It might be pretty funny if it was here.
Flame Shield, it's obsolete at this point.
Very nice armor, but we don't need it. And she has brought her Black Mage back up, although I guess, it's showing off fancy shields. And she loses her Thief, which is unfortunate, because these are some nice levels that the Thief is not going to get.
Well, it's also some nice levels that the Thief will get after promotion instead of before.
That is true.
As you say, it's better to have the Thief up, but it's not all downside.
That is true, because you only gain those spell charges when you level up after promotion. Meanwhile, Pickles fades away Lich, so he's going to pick up 2 shards from there.
Fades away who?
There was some purple flash I saw on the screen.
Ribbon!
Always love to see ribbons.
And this one goes straight on the Thief. There was already one on the Red Mage.
Not only pretty hair, but elemental protection.
Pickles actually checked the 3rd tile from Earth. That's interesting. Usually when you have a fighter, that means you're dedicated to that instead of the black belt. Maybe he's not feeling as comfortable with the fighter black-red party.
That seems quite possible. Again, where's all the fire AoE? Because ice does not work too well against frost dragons.
And that Sun Sword would have done some good damage if it had actually hit.
And
There's
there's
the
the
loot.
loot. All right, so definitely required floater, required cardia.
So now, between the two, which would you pick?
I mean, right now CC has a definite advantage. Now she could bonk off something chime-wise, but she might end up going to Volcano anyway, and then it won't matter. Let's see. Looks like she is looking at Mirage, though.
That's what I would have done too, because I think she has some pretty good tools for getting through that. She
Yes.
has a lot of ice elemental spells, which a lot of stuff up there is weak to. And she has the Dragon Sword as a good option for taking down Tier 1.
Yes, between the Dragon Sword and the Bane Sword, she is in good shape.
Oh yeah, Bane too. Right.
We have not actually seen Brack, I don't think, but don't need it. And David Huck pointing out what she needs here is levels. Yes, she needs that too. Right, Pickle's about to pick up his floater.
Okay, so that accident in Earth is putting him a couple of minutes behind, probably. Though it remains to be seen how exactly that Odys versus a Volcano play is turning out. Though, well, Odys was just leading to the Excal after that battle turn-in. So it's a place that Pickles could possibly just completely ignore.
Right, I like this. Pickles is checking the encounters in Northwest. I mean, Heal Helmet +5 is actually decent armor. The spell isn't that useful, but it actually provides some good protection. I don't think you can use that pre-promotion, though.
And yes, as Thavian is asking in chat, yes, we do have some new sprites for, I think that's the new Team Stack flag. That's putting new sprites on, among other things, all the good grinding counters in the desert.
This is interesting. Pickles is checking Toph locked. I think was looking for a grind, and that was probably about the last thing he would have wanted to see.
I would argue that the last thing he would have wanted to see if this were not B-sides that as flag set would have been a Phantom tile. But that's also way up there. Second katana for crab cakes.
Meanwhile, Pickles is in Gaia, so he'll pick up his 2 items there if he hasn't already.
Now, Ice 3 is actually doing some good damage against those catmen, which are not men-cats, despite their color.
Yep, they looked very man-cattish, but Chimeras will be good experience for the 2 members of CC's party, and Dragon Sword is going to do some work against those.
Yeah, usually not too hot on the red mage's the sword and prowess, but this flag set has kind of turned me around on it with how combat heavy it is with all the shot boxes you need to open.
And there's a Wizard Staff +2 if you want to confuse anyone.
It's an alternative to Brack against Kraken, since it has the same accuracy as that.
That's quite true. And CC doing the door glitch, I love it.
Any opportunity you get. Also, she is letting the Black Mage get a bit more of that nap, so maybe she's committing to a 2-man. Probably doing it for speed, knowing that the Red Mage has good spell list at his disposal.
That is quite true. There's one thing that, so when they get more shards, it's, I believe, 100% per 8 shards. So I can see CC putting off her grind until she has, quite a few shards.
Actually, according to Davian Hawk, it's 25% per 8 shots, so not quite that much,
Okay.
but still enough to make a significant difference.
And one of the interesting things about that is, even if you've hit your max shard count, you will still get the bonuses as it goes on. And that eye
That's right.
looks so phantom-like. I don't like it. And there's our tail.
Yeah, so that means that she will get post-promotion levels from C. And Volcano, maybe. Well, there's not that much experience to get from Volcano at these levels.
And CC sees nothing in her gambit, so she's, hey, nothing. Well, there's one thing in the 4-pack. And what kind of rocks are those rock galls made out of to be that color?
I'm no geologist, I can't answer that question for you.
Pickles is in the desert. He might be looking for a grind here.
There's Steak. And yes, mentioned this flag. Credits to Barber for all that sprite work. He's been really putting an impressive amount of work into various things like that in the rando recently.
All right, CC heading right and up, and no patrolling more Maxine.
I mean, would you want to take on Wormek with a vanilla script? That's where all the nuclears come from.
Nope.
I sure want to meet those well, no, actually, I miss the absence from Topher when we return to non-vanilla boss script flag sets.
Right. Ooh, Tia takes down CC's Red Mage, but got some evasion on that thief who has a ribbon and that dragon sword.
That ribbon is vital against Tia when she has all the good the sweeper skills.
Yes, she does. Of course, Tia 2 has all those and Bane because she's not a nice lady. All right, CC takes down Tia 1, so that'll be 4 more shards for her. Pickles is currently in Mirage.
And that takes the thief up to level 23, which will give him some pretty nice bulk for Topher, though it does come with the unfortunate side effect that the post-promotion levels will take some time to come in, and even longer now that it turns out that, as our overlay has been saying the whole time, the Chime Lock is Bahamut Cave. And this is actually not the first time I've seen a root seed like that, where you find this out right after getting the tail.
So now we're seeing the Chime Lock make a difference here. So CC headed to Onrak, brought up her Red Mage. Looks like she's going to just dive it. She's probably hoping that the Chime is in here. We know it's in Volcano, but she doesn't.
Yeah, this place has the power bonk, I believe. That's the only incentive that's left. Which, it is a huge find regardless, but not what she's looking for right now. She might not have some life charges on this ninja at the end, unless she ends up taking a grind on some tile.
That is true, or even a first floor Topher grind.
Yeah, that too.
Right, she is in Mermaids. Mermaid's prison is on, but between the key and her thief's levels, she doesn't care.
And there it is. Now the question is, will she instantly leave and go to Volcano looking for that chime? Or will she take out Kraken while she's here for the proximity play?
I mean, if I were her, I would take out Kraken for the proximity play. It's unfortunate you don't get the levels, but, I think you more than make up for any time grinding by not double dipping here. Pickles is heading up now to Sky. He just needs to get by the mighty Sahags that are guarding it. A little less intimidating than the Blue Dragon.
I mean, they've got the color right.
CC now heading through C here. I bet she's not going to bother with any chest that's out of the way unless it's marked. It might not even bother with ones that are in the way if they're not marked.
Right. Do we know the shot counts? I see. I think that was 17 from CC's. That will be 18 after this one. I'll keep an eye out on Pickles.
Right, the runner's menu so fast it is hard to tell. Pickles decides to run from the metal slimes. That's, of course, he doesn't have any or much in the way of fire magic, so it'd be an unfortunate necessity.
Yeah, what many of us have found out from running these flags is that usually the experience you get from the marked boxes in Sky is already more than enough in most circumstances.
All right, Simpire Pickles, yeah, that is true, although he might be doing the check Sky 3 warp back and check Sky 2 play. Or he might not.
I'm checking the 6-pack first, not faulting him.
CC's all the way down to Kraken's floor now.
And the best thing that was in this 6-pack was just the second ice sword, which is an excellent sword, but he already has that.
Right, that is one sickly looking Kraken on CC's side.
So she's going with the fast and the conf. That's not playing we often see, and it lands. It's the same out as Brack. Now the Kraken won't deal a lot of damage to himself from confusion, since confusion damage is a fire elemental, but that's still buying a lot of time.
It is buying a lot of time, and with the improved fire, it's doing more damage than it would have otherwise. It would be single digits otherwise. Big hit from that thief. Pickles is now checking Sky 2 chests. While CC takes down Kraken, that'll be 4 more shards for her. So if she was at 18 or so, she'd be at 22. Darkest in chat, gotta love a confused Kraken. Yes. As it pointed out, same odds as Brack. Except against Tier 1 because Tier 1's weak against poison.
And as we predicted, Crabcakes is... well, she's taking a pit stop in Crescent Lake. I noticed that Black Mage is back up. Wonder what plans she has for him. That WAP is probably not the whole story. Well, yeah, the Black Mage was already up for the Tier 1 fight, was my thinking. Well, no, Kraken, not Tier.
Big scary multi-hitting 4-shard fiend. Close enough.
Yeah, I guess that was just a temporary danning to just take less time on encounters in general.
And she's just looking for marked chests, so she has her eye on shards and that tail. Pickles, meanwhile, taking a slightly different route than CC, going up first instead of right, but still no patrolling Warmech. Not that I would expect either runner to take on a Warmech. Now, CC's fighter's going to be out of nuke range. That's pretty important. Excuse me, Pickles' fighter. Interesting he's left the black belt up, though, who's also out of nuke range.
Maybe some safety using that heal magic?
That is quite possible. I don't think we've really seen that black belt heal plus magic, but he has it. We're seeing that.
I don't expect CC to make use of that because her black belt is just too low level to just reliably survive any of the tougher fights.
That is quite true. The vanilla scripts, everyone's favorite speed bump, is glowing in the dark because it's nuclear or nuke casting. Right. Meanwhile, Pickles takes down TO1. Still didn't see how many shards he has.
Yeah, I should pay attention as I said earlier and proceeded not to do. And he's about to promote, blissfully unaware that this is the chime locked location.
When you get the chime early enough, you are blissfully unaware.
Now, I believe that the chime was somewhere around where CC is right now. If not that, it's the next grid room.
I think it might have been down in the vanilla incentive.
Oh,
chest.
yeah, you're right. That was probably some seed bleed on my end.
So basically, in some ways, it's a worst case for CC, but she's going to get as many shards and as many agamas as she could. Yeah, correct.
Now, sadly, she lacks exit on that red mate, which would have been a good option to take if the shard boxes put her above the threshold to enter Topher.
That is quite true. Meanwhile, Pickles is going to enter on rack. Right, getting away from all these annoying encounters and about to pick up her chime.
Now, if you're in CC's position where you are freshly promoted and you know that the ninja has some pretty important spells at his disposal if he gets a couple more levels, do you maybe go for some grind that you know about, or do you just go straight for Topher?
I mean, that is a good question because these Tophers can get kind of rough with the vanilla scripts and the scaling. Now, on the other hand, you know, Pickles is a very good runner, and this is do or die for CC, and I love it. Dark strats on carry. She doesn't have lamp, and carry does not like red mages.
Oh, it's getting a bit dicey, down to just the thief, but that rune sword is just doing way too much damage to carry. She ends up just taking her down pretty easily at the end.
Yes, indeed. Looks like she's probably going to head back to Canaria, yes, and raise her party. I was going to say that, and she flew right by it for a second.
Well, she probably still wants to head over to Cardia. If it's the black mage using the red mage's life 2 instead of the clinic, yeah, that's a bit faster, I believe. There are so many text boxes to mash through in the clinic.
That is so true.
Pickles picking up a free gold bracelet from the free chest in Sharknado floor. That goes straight on the red wizard.
I haven't seen the shard counts, but it seems like Pickles is slowly catching up here. And, of course, Topher's going to Topher, so this is still anyone's race.
So I see that CC has equipped the katana on the ninja and the Vorpal on the right. The ninja is wearing that ice armor and opal shield. That's almost vanilla fighter tier absorb. Actually, maybe even better than that.
Slightly better. And actually, see, when I first saw that plus shield, it's like, well, that's not going to be as useful once the thief promotes, but it's giving that thief access to that opal shield, and that rolled very nice. Looks, and Cece is just going in. She is at least going to feel this out. She's not going to grind to start with.
Looks like it. Now, Lich 2, will we see the nuke? This red mage has quite a few levels, which makes him a bit more resilient to nuke than your average mage. But this katana does not crit and just does 3 hits for 65. The stop hits nobody. I believe she has the double ribbons. Then Fade, 149. Just meleeing, 2 hits for 50 damage from the Vorpal, hits for 114 from the katana. This is the reason I really like the X-Cal. It just makes fights like this so much faster when you have some high damage pretty much guaranteed. And she has picked the black belt back up.
All right, heading down to carry 2 now. Meanwhile, Pickles has finished up Kraken, and it looks like he is about to dive Topher. And I don't think he's gotten spells on any of his promoted characters. Well, they don't have spell charges yet, so.
Yeah, so he is hot on her tail, coming in at 59 minutes 32 seconds. Now, how's that carry 2 fight looking? Looks like she's been going for some sweepers and looking at the HP on the party. And the katana makes, or was it the rune sword? Both are great options here.
I actually did not see. I see that she's gotten the black belt up for maybe a little chip damage and definitely as a meat shield. And she's doing the door glitch again.
And yes, Fabian is pointing out in chat that Pickles is, well, he was going with a light axe up to this point and now switching to rune sword because he did not die for this, which means he did not get the X-Cal that was locked behind that bottle.
The rune sword will actually get bonuses against every Topher boss except Chaos and Kraken. Speaking of which...
Oh, Kraken's that was a clean one-shot.
Yeah. And Kraken says, oh, so you like punches. Goodbye, black belt.
Oh, right. These are a bit less impressive when the black belt is not post-grind.
Yeah. However, he decides, oh, a life caster, goodbye, and gets confused. Oh, boy, this has been a confusing day for Kraken, but I think Kraken broke out of it, so... More confused. Well, Pickles is hot on Cece's tail. He is now on the water floor as well.
Yeah, that's the power of the knight. That extra strength comes in really handy. And Kraken has punched Cece's party down to just the ninja. this is not looking that good for her. She's very vulnerable to slow 2 regardless of what happens with tier 2.
That is quite true. And we know Chaos is guaranteed to have Slow 2, Nuke, Cure 4, Tornado, Swirl, Inferno.
Yeah, this is all stuff for which the ninja really wants some healing and some sort of backup. That's, well, this usual script is not what we usually play with, but these kinds of things are the reason why the most popular two-man party is Thief White Mage, because that's something the ninja badly needs some backup on.
That is quite true. Meanwhile, Kraken 2's for Pickles is like, goodbye, Master. Now the question is, will he annihilate the Red Wizard again?
Because getting the black belt back up, which makes a lot of sense, because no matter how little that black belt is contributing to the fight, he's still taking about half the melee attacks. And that's a life caster too, on top of that.
That is quite true. That's why Kraken went after the black belt. He knew it was a life caster.
Ooh. Clever boy.
All right, Pickles is through. Kraken 2. Meanwhile, CC down to 82 hit points on her ninja. Down to 39. But Blizzard does just enough, and she wipes. And
I thought for a second that she was going for some kind of grind, taking off with the airship, but no, that was just a misinput. She is going for a grind.
Frosty's not the best with a lack of fire magic and Nuke. We did not see Nuke at all.
Right, it must have landed somewhere in level 7 or 8.
Well, Pickles,
and I don't believe either of our runners has checked the bad news shop, as I like to call it.
I don't think they have. They went right by it.
Now, continuing the pattern of using whatever effective weapons the knight has at his disposal, now Pickles has switched to the dragon sword, I see.
Yes, I love it. Making use of those elemental bonuses.
Yeah, those pump the weapon's power up above the vanilla massa's power, I believe.
I believe
with that
so.
plus 42 elemental bonus we were working with. And now for Chaos, the Whirlpool.
Yep, Chaos has no elemental weaknesses. But he's always weak against crit if you can get enough swings in.
Yes, the most powerful spell of all. Sword in your face. And he's done with the setup for the fight. Now we see a wait, a fast, and a temper, I think, and defense sword on the knight.
Meanwhile, Cece's going to pick up her promo spells now that she has a few charges.
Crack comes out from Chaos on turn 1, but gets nobody, even the ones without a ribbon. That's impressive. More temper on the knight.
And Tharkis's stat. Abracadabra. I love it.
Ice 3 doesn't quite get anyone done, though the Black Mage was extremely close. Now, I see Ruse from the Red Mage and a Power Bank from the Knight. Probably setting up for maybe just the Red and the Knight as the permanent party members for this fight. 4 hits for 400 something, I believe that was.
That's what it looked like, and 238 not as well. Oh, slow 2 does not land on the Knight. That is big.
Yeah, the Black Belt has now contributed a lot to this fight by absorbing that slow 2. Now he can get a well-deserved nap.
Yes, indeed. Inferno comes out, and that gets the Red Wizard a little low. Cure 4 fixes that. Of course, it's still going to be in nuke range, and Swirl doesn't help. That actually knocks down the Knight to nuke range.
Ooh,
Pickles knows it
5-3.
too.
We're getting pretty close to the nuke at this point, I believe.
I believe so.
Ice 2, yeah, Chaos is dashing to that magic list, just fast and nuke to go. 5 hits for 930, that's pretty good because he's on pace to take him out pretty soon at this point, I believe. 2 hits for 282, that's not quite as good.
No, it's not.
And 7
Hey.
hits for 961, there it is, terminated, Chaos is down. And Pickles and Beer wins this race with an official racetime.gg time of 1:07:23. Get your
Alrighty.
digits in the chat.
Yes, indeed. All right. Meanwhile, Cece is on the Kraken floor. Kraken really did her dirty last time. We'll see how she gets her revenge. Brings up the Masters saying, "Hey, Kraken, Lifecaster!" And her party's in a different order. I like this because, you know, sometimes Kraken will love to go after the same slots, even without
She
set
did
RNG.
cast fast on the Master, which is probably just an input error on her end because, well, down he goes.
Yeah.
And
Meanwhile, the Master's a fond memory.
yes, and yeah, as the chat is discussing, yes, Pickles and Beer is the winner from last year.
Already 5 hits, 420. 114 from Ice 3. 196 from FaZe, enough to get rid of Kraken 2. So she's through with 3 party members up this time. This is considerably better than last time.
I see that Pickles is in the waiting room, so he might be joining us shortly.
Meanwhile, CC's taking on Tia 2. He leads off with Thunder and didn't need that Black Mage anyway. And we are joined in the chat by Pickles and Beer. GG, Pickles!
Hey, thanks.
Congratulations on winning this match. That was a pretty impressive feat.
Yeah, I mean, CC's the toughest of the toughest, so. And that seed just, I don't know, it just felt slow. Those fest chains were awful.
CC actually got out to a nice lead, but she actually found what the chime lock was. It was Bahamut's.
Yeah, I heard in the race room.
Yeah. Anyway, how do you like them black belts?
Don't particularly like them. I kept the black belt up probably too long, or probably way too long. Although the HP and the being a meat shield and Topher did help a little bit, so there's that. But yeah, I prefer not to have to worry about finding a grind because it can be like these seeds with these flags with B-sides. You can find all the grinds or you can find nothing. And found nothing today.
That is very true. Meanwhile, Chaos is doing CC dirty here with the even Ice 3 and Lightning 3. Ooh, who did Slow 2 hit?
I believe that was the Black Wizard. Chaos going very fast through his spells. The Cure 4 is already here. Usually you like to get a couple more buffs first beforehand, since that's kind of your green light for going ham on the attacks. And
Ooh, and was that a miss?
it sure was. Now Chaos melees the red mage. I see an attempt at dark. That's unconventional, but why not?
I mean, it's for the lulls. It's the 3 and 256, but why not?
improved Dark is on. That keeps the whole party safe from those big punches.
So, Pickles, at one point did you decide not to go after the Excal?
Once I found the power bonk in C, I was because I knew C and Ordeals were the last two incentives, and it was bonk and Xcal. I needed 4 more shards, so I was doing C. Whatever I got out of there was gonna be what I took.
All right, and that was a sound try as it paid off. Meanwhile, get your GGs out for Crab Cakes, who has terminated Chaos with an official race time. That GG time of 1 hour, 12 minutes, 5 seconds.
Yep, GG crab cakes.
All right, so Pickles, with this, you are moving on. I don't know off the top of my head who your opponent's going to be, if it's even decided yet, but what are your thoughts there?
I don't believe it's been. I don't think they've raced yet, but out of the frying pan into the fire.
That's
Because
quite
it's
true.
I'm
either
bringing up the brackets right
it's
now,
either
actually.
it's
It will be the
Spellzap or
winner of
Solaris.
Spellzap versus Solaris. Right.
Yeah, so
Ooh.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's the end of this. The last 8 are just it's stacked.
It is, and of course, CC is going to go to the last chance qualifiers, and she has said she is ready for the LCQ run. Good GG CC. So, any thoughts going into the LCQ?
I'm expecting CC to just tear through that thing.
Well, she will face company from everyone that was knocked down from the round of 8, plus some really good runners that have been in there from previous rounds also. But, well, she probably has a good shot of making it to the quarterfinals anyway.
Yeah, the level of competition in FFR these days it's just stacked.
That
Right.
is so true. Right, CC says, I hope I don't wipe and over in the async. Yeah, that is true.
That Ninja is kind of has some reliability issues at times.
Actually, I don't recall seeing either of you use the heal plus magic on the black belt. Now, Kraken too remembered that the black belt or master was a life caster, but
I remembered it pretty late. Was doing something in my menu or something, and I noticed the charges. I'm like, oh yeah, and then, but of course, it never came into play after that. But
yeah, CC says she forgot about it. I mean, that is easy to do with those level 8 charges. And
Oh yeah,
not that I know from my casual playthrough experience or anything.
and it's pretty easy for a damned character to just leave your mind entirely.
That is also very true. So the big divergence we saw was Pickles, you went to Volcano and picked up that chime, and or CC actually went and headed over to the dwarves like the seed seemed to hint with the TNT. What were your thoughts there?
Ice 2 and Ice 3 with 2 casters. I figured I could make it through Volcano, at least get the incentive and get out. Seeing the chime was kind of like, like you have no idea, especially since I hadn't seen the chime lock yet. Like you have no idea what that's blocking, and that could have been a absolute total dud. Turns out it wasn't, but very well could have been. There were shards though, so that at least got some shards out of the dive.
Also, shoutouts to that final chest incentive in there.
Yeah, like come on.
It's not often that I see those tiles.
No, I was starting to worry that it was going to be one of the not key item incentives, and I'm like, that's great, but I don't really need that yet. And those ghosts on the what is that? Is that the Gurworm tile?
I think it was.
Yeah, those that scared me.
Yeah, understandably so.
Alrighty, Phillison, any other questions for our runners?
Uh, what inspired you to go with this particular party? Personally, I'm always shy to go with a party without a thief.
I am too. I almost took a nun in the 4th slot so I could take a thief and a fighter, but with not knowing, like, the thief could have been in Gaia, or one of them in Gaia, and I kind of decided I was going to take whichever one came first.
Okay, and it paid off in this case, because the reliability of the Knight in Topher is not to be understated.
No, not at all. I do like having a knight in, especially with how high that scaling is.
And even without the X card in this case.
Yeah. Yep.
Because when you risk this game a lot, you kind of get a feel for just how much of a difference that strength lead the knight has makes over the ninja.
Oh yeah, yeah. And I almost got scary there at Kraken too because I forgot to put the coral sword on the knight. Probably should have just used the Vorpal for all of Topher just to, not have to juggle equipment. But I was trying to use the elemental sword since the Vorpal wasn't that great, and I didn't want to have to spend rounds with the knight using the power bonk. But yeah, forgot to put the coral sword on, so I had the rune sword, and that that started getting a little scary when I had a miss and like 1 to 200 damage. Like, that's not very good.
Makes sense.
Fun
Lots of
fact.
life too, though.
Yeah. Fun fact, Kraken 2 is the only Topher Fiend that isn't vulnerable to the Rune Sword other than Chaos.
Yep, that's why the rune sword's so good, because most everything's weak to it.
And CC pointing out, I think I got through T2 first time with a Dragon +5 over Katana. I think so. I mean, those elemental swords get quite a boost. And she points out Chaos would have taken some good early RNG regardless. That is very true, especially with those vanilla scripts.
Oh yeah, if the thief would have had a vitality bonus, I probably would have held out for the thief.
I think Slutu ends up being the one aspect about this flag set that we did not expect would leave such an impact on us. Anyway, I think it's about time to move on to final thoughts. Pickles, anything you want to say?
Yeah, just GG again, crab cakes, and thank you, fellas, and Classic Gamer, Senpyro, and Wildham for putting on the restream. Much appreciated.
All right. CC is in chat, so is there anything she wants to say?
All right, we'll give her a few moments here. And she says, GG's, thanks everyone. Yes, GG's the crab cakes, you as well.
Yeah, even without moving on to the quarterfinals right away, those were still some good performances on this match.
And she said, should be fun to watch back. Oh, I agree. Alrighty, so I'd like to thank RPG Limit Break for hosting us. Our great tracker, Sin Pyro, keeps us honest. Of course, Wildham for doing the restream, my co-coms, Fellison, and of course, everyone in chat. We, couldn't do this without you. And of course, as the last comment I see from Crabcakes, I want to see how that early volcano played out. Yes, go ahead and everyone, especially if you've seen this on YouTube and maybe you skipped ahead, go back and watch that. All right, I'm Classic Gamer 76. Coming up at 6 o'clock right here on RPG Limit Break, we have Rax versus Woo Bear. And I know we had a 9 p.m. match, but I think that got moved to tomorrow. And that match at 6 will be right here on RPG Limit Break. I'm Classic Gamer 76. Have a great evening, everyone.